So, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm planning on trying to fill a sketchbook spread with some mermen, and other than that I have no plan. Normally I like to have like a really good idea of what I'm going to be doing for my videos, but not today. And to be honest, it's making me really nervous. But while I was thinking about what to do, I thought it might be fun if we used something I've been having a lot of fun with lately. There's just these little color pens, come in lots of colors as you can see, and I've been having a lot of fun with them in my sketchbook. This is all of my colors. This is a page I did with just them. This page is also done with just these pens. I thought it would be cool to do a spread of mermen to get into the Mermay spirit using these. Alright, to get started I figured we could start with like a really basic pose. Let's see, a little head and shoulders at the angle. We're just gonna have him be kind of sitting. It's an okay pose. It's kind of boring, I will say. You need some hair. No, you know what? What if I gave him the hair for the merman in like some of my world building? Because I've done world building with some mermen, and they have a very particular hairstyle that they wear. I gotta admit, I'm feeling very rusty today. But if I don't film today, I won't have a video out this week. Let's see, they've got their hair split into 3 parts. And then there will be a braid in the back, but you won't be able to see that. And then the 2 smaller braids in the front, with the curly bits at the end. Like that. But if we're going with that, then it needs to be the kind of merman that is in that world. So they have much more dolphin-y tails. They don't have the big, fluffy, fantasy type. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm gonna try drawing him bigger down here. Oh wait, he needs like a rock. Oh my god, I'm so bad at drawing rocks. I need to give it like some serious attention at some point. Yeah, that's fine, whatever. I'll erase down here so that it's not in the way. What about if we have him kind of like this, looking over like this? Ooh, and then this pose will show off the braid in the back too. It's gonna need to curve up to fit on the page. That looks alright. And then sort of closed eyes, maybe? Let's see. Wow, that looks so bad. Let's see. I'm feeling very rusty today, I gotta admit. Okay, what if we turn the body this way a little bit? Get a little bit more going on. Okay, so we do that, and then what if he's just being really cute and he's got his arms like posed all dainty. Like it's simple, it's not creative, but it will look nice. And when you're feeling sort of rusty and a little art blocked, I don't think that's a bad thing. Ooh, and then the braids can kind of mimic what his arms are doing, and that'll be nice. The big swirly tuft at the bottom. Like that, which can copy the curve of the body a little bit more. So we get lots of repeating, satisfying curves and lines going on. I don't think I want his eyes closed though. Let's give him some eyebrows so I can kind of tell what's going on. And then, how about we give him a sort of, I'm not erasing, so this is gonna look weird, but just like a slightly sultry expression. because that's fun, and it fits the pose well. And then the hair will actually be, like, it's braided, but it should be kind of voluminous anyway, because in my story, the mer people have, like, hydrophobic hair, which there's a reason for that. Like, I didn't just go, ooh, we would make it, like, magically pretty and flowy all the time. Although it does have the added benefit of, like, giving an explanation for mer people having dry hair in all of the art I do of them. But in this story, it has a purpose. And that purpose being the baby mer person, like, hold on to the hair, and it would be much easier to grip that if it was dry. And that's also what the hairstyle is for. So only mermen who are fathers wear this hairstyle where it's split into 3 braids in that story. I like this pose a lot. I think it's really cute. I might have the tail, like, curve under. Wow, that was bad. But, you know, curve under, more like this one in this piece. But I'm not sure. Okay, actually, I think before I move on to sketching the bigger piece over here, I want to try, like, coloring this one in just to figure out what I want to do with the colors. We're going to be working with a pretty cold color palette because in the lore that I've made, they're actually basically gray. Alright. So we've got all these blues, and then we've got a couple of purples and one actual gray. And then I think I'm gonna swatch them up here. I'll erase that for... Let's swatch them. These pens get some really nice light shades that I really enjoy. Like, honestly, how many pens come in that many shades of light blue? You know? This is like oriental blue, and this is one of my favorite colors that these pens come in. It's so pretty. It's just got, like, the slightest green tone. The one thing about these pens is that, like, sometimes the caps go on the end, and sometimes they don't. It's so hard to draw near this and get an even line. Like, I totally just screwed that up. I'm not actually doing a braid because I didn't sketch a braid out, so I'm not going to try and freehand it. You know, my hand, like, totally slipped on the ring binding there. That does not look good. Yeah, that's the one thing about these. They're not like ballpoint pens where you can go in, like, light and build your way up. Ink is ink with these. Now that I've got the pose down, he's gonna be buffer in the end one, because you do not swim that much and not end up buff. So all mer people should be hella buff. I'm just gonna embrace the sketchiness. The 1 or 2 crappy spots won't stand out if it's all a little like that. Life lesson. That is a terrible life lesson. Don't take that as a life lesson. Okay. I like the idea of there being some, like, splashing water to add some movement. Maybe, like up here. Yeah, with a little bit more curve to it. That's nice. And then, because this will be the dark part, and the upper part will be more like sea foamy around here. I just tried to put the cap on like this. That does not work. Yeah, the way I like to work with these is I really just like to scribble them, and then I mix colors by, like, layering them on top of each other and doing, like, looser or tighter scribbles, depending on how much of each color I want. And it's really nice. I don't know, it's very relaxing to just be able to be like, I'm just scribbling. And then it's doing what I want it to do. Yeah, I really like that. I'll probably add a little bit of actual gray, or maybe... Let me try something. Maybe I'll layer in some green and pinkier purple to show that it's not just this color. Do some of that, like, in the shadows with the purple, and then some green more towards the top to show, like, warmth from the light. Oh yeah, that's really pretty. That's like abalone shell. That's what it's giving me, but in, like, a pastel kind of way. And then I do want his tail to be gray, but it's kind of the same problem. I think it's a little flat. I wish I had like a proper blue-gray. Maybe if I layer the periwinkle over it. Yeah, that's not bad. I do imagine that their tails would be a little darker than their skin. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do his skin though, because I can't get any lighter than that. And I want there to be differentiation, but I don't want to do the same color as his hair and just do his skin in periwinkle. Let's do some layering experiments. I've got this warm purple, which might be good for adding some warmth into his skin. That might look nice. And then that, yeah, that's just too dark. It's just so overpoweringly like neutral of a gray. If it was a colder gray, I feel like I could make it work a little bit better, but I don't like it layered over that purple as it is. Don't like the green. That's too saturated. I could just do shadows in like the warm purple and leave his skin white, which, I don't know, I don't like that idea, but if that's what I've got to do, what if I just do this, I just make him green. I don't think I like that. Okay, what if I tried an ink wash? What if I just, and then I let it dry, and I go over it with the pens. You can see it dries down, and it's a much less aggressive gray than this. I might do that, yeah. And then if I paint him and the rock gray first, but I leave the background without the gray, so it's just like the vivid color of the ocean and the sky, that could make him pop a lot more. Okay, yeah, I like this plan. I like this plan a lot. Which means that it's time to sketch him out. I always like to try and mark the top and the bottom of the page, because I don't know, it feels like it helps me stay in the frame if I pretend that that's my limit instead of the edge of the page. It kind of helps me. I mean, I don't even know if you can see that on camera. Oh yeah, you can see it now. So I'm gonna sketch this, and then because I'm trying to make it look nice, I'm not gonna be talking, so I will catch up with you in a bit. Alright, that took so much longer than I'd like to admit for a drawing that I'm still not, like, super happy with. It's not terrible, but I've done much better. I think the face is a little too small, I don't know. I think I'm just a little off my game today. But I say, let's move on, because it's not getting any better than this. And then we'll get the rock as well, let's not forget that. Well, that's great. That's the ink wash done. And now I gotta wait for this to dry because I'm using a water-based media. Alright, so this is mostly dry, and I'm getting tired of waiting for it to be done. I have no idea if this will erase under this. I had a whole plan about what I was gonna talk about today, but I'm so out of it today. Not out of it, that's the wrong word. I'm just a little out of sorts today, that it's really hard to keep that in my head, you know? Wow. Alright. Well, I don't think there's actually gonna be any coming back from that. Don't love that. Well, shit. Okay, well at least the eyes turned out okay. Alright, the hair is not good. Something has gone terribly wrong. But we are going to power through and try to make this somewhat decent. I don't know how, but I'm gonna do it. So, I was saying earlier that I had all these ideas for what I was gonna talk about during this video, and it was just kind of falling out of my head. I think the main thing I wanted to talk about was the merfolk in my world building. And I think that's just kind of an idea I've had because I've found that the thing I struggle with most with draw with me type videos is knowing what to talk about. Because, like, it can be hard to talk and draw at the same time. But it's not so much that that's the most difficult thing, it's just that it can be very hard to think of things to talk about at the same time as drawing. I'm rotating this because I've already done a bad job on something. I'm giving myself every benefit I can at this point. Might be better if I honestly save the talking for when I'm not concentrating so much on the line art. That's his line art done, and the rock, and then I'm gonna do the wave. No, I'm gonna do the wave. No. I'm gonna do the wave in this, if I ever make up my mind. And in this one, the cap stays on the end really, really well. So it is pure randomness whether or not the lids will stay on these things. So earlier, I was talking about why they wear this hairstyle, and it's because when they're swimming and stuff, obviously they need use of their arms, but if they're like people, as they seem to be, they have little helpless, useless babies who can't do anything that need to be carried everywhere. So an interesting thing about infants, this is how I world build, by the way. It is very like zoology, biology based. I'm really into like learning about nature and stuff, and so I use it to inform how I world build fantasy creatures and animals and stuff like that. So an interesting thing about human babies is that when they're really young, they can actually hold up their own weight from like a pull-up bar, which is really cool. They can also like, they have the mammalian dive reflex, so they can hold their breath. Oh, look at that. I totally forgot to line that part. But they can hold their breath underwater automatically. And so those are two things that make world building merfolk children really interesting, I think. The other thing that I think is, kind of interesting is that... Go away. How do I explain this? I kind of combined the... Because in this world that they're in, right, it's our world, and a lot of mythology from like around the world exists. And it's like, oh yes, that's actually this, or this is real, but it's a little bit different from how you would think, or these are all kind of the same thing, experienced through a different cultural lens or whatever, right? Alright, I had to offload the camera, so I've lost my train of thought. But to avoid repeating myself too much, in case I said all of this, Naga and merpeople are one species. The males live in the ocean, and the females live on land as snake women, and blah blah blah, extremely dimorphic species. And they live basically completely separate lives. So basically they meet up, and, well, stuff happens. But another thing that happens is that they will hand over any, of the aquatic babies to be raised in the ocean, because you obviously cannot raise a merman baby on land. That doesn't really work out practically. So they pass them over, and it's like a cool little ceremony in my head. And to be real, I've given these snake women far less thought. I kind of imagine them being a little bit stoic, like very quiet and calm, but not in that sort of serene way, because, they're like snake people. I would imagine them having kind of snake-like personalities. Let's see, what did I decide? Periwinkle on the hair with some green and some of the darker purple. Okay. In my head, since this is my world, it's like a very sacred thing to take on the role of fatherhood for the mermen, right? They take it very seriously. It's this huge thing, and so it comes with this like very important hairstyle. And once they take on that mantle, they don't ever join all of their hair back together into one mass. They always keep it separated into these 3 groups. It's like very, very sacred to them, and I imagine the mermen to be sort of like a little bit catty, a little bit dramatic, right? I imagine them being like generally like sweet-natured, right? But also just experiencing emotions very, very strongly compared to people or humans. And I did not we're ignoring it. We're ignoring the problems with this piece at this point. Oh my god. Wow, I forgot a lot with this one. The sketch is this sketch is so bad, and yet I did a better job in so many ways. What was I saying? Okay, yeah. They experience emotions really, really strongly, and it also ties into like the siren lore. You know, sirens have that myth where they sing and then sailors drown, and in my story, it's not really them intentionally drowning people. It's just that their voices conduct their emotions so strongly into, you know, all the creatures around them that it can feel like you're experiencing it. So if they sing about grief or love or something like that, you might well drown yourself in a fit of passion or something. Just because it can fill you with all of their emotions as strongly as they feel it, and they feel emotions even more strongly than humans are really capable of handling. And so they can be, you know, they can feel very jealous or envious or kind of vindictive. Not vindictive. What's the term for someone who wants to be, like, revengeful? I don't know. They can hold a grudge. There we go. They can really hold a grudge by our standards, because everything is just much more intense. Does that make any sense at all? I don't know. And another thing is that, along with what I said about them singing, their voices, like I said, conduct their emotions really, really strongly. So they don't generally talk using their own voices to humans, because they know that it's, you know, kind of dangerous. It can basically work like almost like mind control. So I haven't hammered this out 100%. I've definitely decided that they generally prefer to use whatever kind of sign language or, you know, charades or whatever to communicate. But I'm thinking about giving them the ability to mimic. So like steal voices either from people or from people's like memories, so they can speak with someone else's voice that doesn't have that power. I think that could be interesting, but I haven't decided if that's going to be a part of it yet. Alright, let's see, how are we feeling about this so far? I like it, I like the colors, still not happy about the hair. But I like the colors. If I add a little bit more... Adding this greenish blue is not going to help anything. What am I doing? But maybe if we darken the hair up a little bit with some gray, it might hide the atrociousness of these braids a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of the bulk of the lore for my merfolk stuff. I have a comic idea for it because I said they don't really talk. I'd love to try and make a, like, silent comic where there's just no dialogue whatsoever, and it's just images. I have an idea for one, and I think that would be such a cool project to attempt. But yeah, I've got the whole idea kind of worked out. Maybe after the fairy comic, when I get that done, I will be able to work on that. It would be a very background intense compared to the fairy comic, because the fairy comic is like, it's outside, it's in nature, you know, you have a little bit of leeway, right? But this comic would take place largely indoors in a sort of Victorian, Edwardian type setting, and so it would be like much more precise and detailed. So even though I wouldn't need to like write dialogue, and all in all, it's an even shorter story, I think I would want the practice of drawing the fairy comic before I do the merman comic. And then I think I want to add a little bit of yellow, just to feel like there's some sunshine happening. Just a little bit. Just a little bit here and there. And then we'll add a little bit to the sea foam too, because that'll look really nice. Like there's some sunshine coming through it. I don't really like how I did this, but I'm thinking of layering just some like light blue over it. Alright. And then I think I want to fill in the sky. When filling in like really large flat spaces, I do like to try and be a little bit more precise because I think it looks really nice. Of course, it's not going to work super well because this paper's kind of warped from doing the ink wash, but I'll try my best. I think it'll still look nice. Let's see, I feel like we're missing some dimension. I think I should darken some shadows up. This was kind of a weird rambly video. I was kind of art blocked at the beginning of it. I still feel a little bit art blocked, to be honest. I mean, I made art, so I don't know. Alright, I have completely lost track of what I was talking about again. The memory card on my camera only holds like 20 minutes, and I only have one, so thankfully we've just bought a new one, so hopefully that helps a lot. Whenever the hell that arrives. Yeah, I do hope I like covered everything I meant to about my merfolk and all the things I wanted to talk about. And I didn't leave like massive weird gaps, because that would be embarrassing. I do think I'm almost done with this piece though, so... You know, I am so happy with how this hand turned out because the sketch for it was ugly. It was not good. And then, oh yeah, I wanted to add another layer of color to the wave back here to make him stand out even more. So I'm just gonna freehand that. Yeah, that looks alright. And then, yeah, okay, yeah, I like that. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of highlight in the eye. And I don't own a white gel pen, which I think is what would look best with these. But I do have a white colored pencil, so we'll try that. Yeah, that looks alright. Maybe... Ooh, that looks really pretty. Alright, let's add some highlight with this colored pencil, because that looks really nice. Lighten up this hair that's a little darker than I wanted it to be. Make it look all shiny. Yeah, I like this. It's not really... I don't feel like it's messing with the texture that the pen gives. It's just kind of lightening it. Okay, I like that. That helped a lot. And maybe I'll add a little bit here, because, I don't know, it's the ocean, it's wet, shiny. I'm just gonna go crazy. I'm just gonna add white colored pencil absolutely everywhere. I'm gonna add a little bit of green to the rock. I just feel like it needs some, like, kelp type feeling. It just feels, the gray is just too flat all on its own. You know, I think I'm done. I think I like that. I think I ultimately would have liked to have the sky be a little bit darker blue to show the foam better, more contrast, but quite frankly, I don't really know how to do that without it being a pretty brutal amount of work. So I'm gonna call it good, honestly. I like this. I'm happy with this. This feels like it could be something really nice if I gave it another go, or like as a proof of concept for a watercolor painting. Like, this is good. This is good. Considering how art blocked I was feeling at the start of this, I think this is a good end result. So I'm just going to sign this, and there we go. Alright, so we have a merman. We talked about some lore. I hope you enjoyed learning about the lore for my merman, and I hope it wasn't too boring. If you liked this video, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you're feeling saucy, and I will see you next time with a much fancier merman to continue with Mermay. Bye!